So that takes us to 2021, and this is a list of probably our major goals that we have for the year. And 2021 is going to be a year, like I said, of building up Shore Acres and also building up the Shore Acres Civic Association. We want to keep people informed about the bridge, get the most out of the rec center. We have an emphasis on waterfront property, and I'll talk about all these in a little bit of time here. We want a better evacuation plan. We want to replace the entrance signs and rewrite the SACA laws. So let's take those individually that we have for the year. The Nathaniel J. Upham Bridge, or otherwise known as the 40th Avenue Bridge. This past year, we did meet with city officials. Some of you were in on that conversation. And we tried to communicate with them the best we could that the neighborhood's a little tired of this bridge just sitting there in rough shape. And I don't know if we got them to work faster, but we certainly let them know that as a community, this is one of our important lifelines to the rest of society. And then we're kind of sitting here seeing all these bridges being put up in St. Petersburg and wondering when we're going to get our little bridge fixed. The good news is they're working on it now. And we fully plan to keep everybody up to date. And as we were just discussing before, to make sure that everybody understands when the bridge is going to be closed, what the detours are, and remind everybody to drive safe and, let people in on Shore Acres Elementary and things like that. And we're also going to follow its progress. And, if there's delays or something like that, we as a community need to know this. This bridge is essential to the full functioning of Shore Acres. And we plan on having you be informed as soon as we're informed, and we have a good working relationship with the city engineers in charge of this. Okay, some of the things that are going to happen this year, one, the sewer lines are going to be relined, and that means that they put a little yellow tube. I posted about this if you saw it. It's just fascinating. I went and talked to the people that were doing it. And they put a little tube in, fill it full of steam, it expands, and then it lines the sewer pipes. And you know why we need this, right? Because this year we had 3 breakages of the sewer lines. These are 2 of them that I went out and got a photograph of. And it caused delay, and it caused going in there and fixing it and all that. So one of the construction things that's going to happen is the relining of our sewer pipes. And also what's not on here is the water main. We're getting a brand new water main that goes all the way up Shore Acres Boulevard. And they're using linear, if you're at that meeting, they're using the linear thing where they don't have to dig up the road. They can just kind of barrel right under it. I think they call it linear drilling. And that's going to be something that we'll watch over and try to keep everybody as informed as possible. Now, the rec center. And I'm going to spend some time on this. One of the things, the most important thing I had on my agenda as president of Shore Acres Civic Association is this recreation center of doing our best to make sure it's utilized as much as it possibly can, and that the community really embraces this and uses this recreation center. And if you have gone out there and taken a look at the construction, it is massive. I saw every single drawing they have for the recreation center, but I'm still surprised how big it is. If you look at the top of those piers, those pillars, that is the bottom of the 2nd floor. So you can imagine just how big this thing is when it gets put in there. And I can honestly say, knowing a good part of the history of Shore Acres, it's really one of the biggest things that's ever happened to our community. And what we want to do is we want to find out what you want, what kind of courses you want, what kind of programs you want, what kind of activities you want, and then try to work with the Parks and Recreation Department to bring those to you. We're also going to tour other recreation centers and find out what's working for them and what's not working for them. Because if we don't do something, if we don't act on this, if we're not proactive, The Parks and Recreation Department really depends upon the community to tell them what they want, and not necessarily have this whole list of options that we can go pick and choose. So it's up to us as community leaders and as part of the community to fully utilize this recreation center, because it's gorgeous. It's absolutely going to be a massive structure that is for us, that the community uses, and has heated swimming pools and parking lots and basketball courts and meeting rooms. It's going to be great. So we're looking forward to that this year, of doing the work in order to utilize this and make it as big a part of the community as we possibly can. And it's going to be a fun project, and I can't wait for this thing to open, especially since we can have our meetings there. I really hope in January of 2022 we'll have our first Shore Acres Civic Association membership meeting there. Okay, signs, entrance signs, and this is kind of something that got a little bit delayed, I guess you could say. And what we want to do is we want to replace the two signs that are on, right across the Snell Isle Bridge, or the Bio Grande Bridge, whatever you want to call it. And then also the entrance on 40th Avenue. There are complications with this, though. There are city ordinances that have a workaround, and the financing, we're still looking at that. But here's why this is important. Shore Acres has 3 points of entry and 3 exits: 62nd Avenue, 40th Avenue, and then the Snell Isle Bridge. Those should be beautiful. We should really welcome people in to those entrance points and have a very proud looking new signage at each of those locations. And we're not like other neighborhoods where you have, 50 different ways of getting in and out, and no real clear definition of the boundaries of that community, except for you see it on a map that the city provides of the neighborhood associations. We're unique that way, and we are going to have a major effort to get these signs updated. Okay, real happy with that. Waterfront property issues, I think as an organization, we need to kind of focus a little bit more on what kind of issues that people with waterfront property are facing. I'm landlocked. I'm on Shore Acres Boulevard. As Kevin Batdorf mentioned, I have waterfront property about 6 times a year. That's because my backyard floods, or the street out in front of my house floods. But the people that are living on the water, we need to find out what their issues are, so we can bring in guests, so we can have a connection with whoever is in charge of this, with the city, and serve them their needs with a little more prominence than we are now. So look for that meeting in March, and I'm going to post something on the Facebook page, and look for comments, because I don't really know what these homes are facing. I would imagine it has to do with the seawall, has to do with ordinances, has to do with boats, has to do with boat lifts, has to do with erosion. I don't know, but we're going to find out, and we're going to do a better job of serving our waterfront community. And here we go. Here we go. This is the most interesting thing I think I've done in years personally. I got the bug. I got the history bug bad. And I never really was interested in history. I never took if I had an alternate class, an elective in college, it was never history. But finding out about the community that I live in, and the vision of this one man, Nathaniel J. Upham, and how it was all plotted out and planned out, and how we had a trolley, how we had a community center, how we had a ferry coming in and out, how the bridge was built, the whole animosity of Mr. Snell and the falling out of Upham and Snell. It's fascinating, and it's a wonderful story. In April I'm going to present the foundation of Shore Acres and establish how it was built, what the vision was, why our streets are named after states and capitals, what the Shore Acres Center was, and what the original vision for Shore Acres is, and the circumstances that these people had of building our community. And I think this is important. We have a centennial coming up. We're going to try to pin down the date, but Shore Acres is going to have its 100-year anniversary coming up in either late 2022 or to early 2020. No, sorry. Yeah, 1923 or 1922. And we're going to find out, and we're going to celebrate. And we'll bring in press, we'll bring in print, and we'll have a gala, a centennial gala in here in Shore Acres. And it's good that we started this history project, because this would have just passed us by. And we would have never known that, okay, we have our 100-year anniversary. I also want to say this about the history project. This gives community character. By documenting, posting, publishing our history, we enrich our community, because then it's no longer about us. It's about all the people that have lived here before us and all the people that are going to live here after us. And I think as far as legacy goes, this will be one of the most important things that personally that I've done for a community that I've reached out. And it is an absolute labor of love. I'm just falling in love with this whole story. So look for that for in April, the foundation of Shore Acres. And then about a year after that, right about the time the bridge opens, we'll fill in the rest of the history, which is just basically little plots of land where your house is that got built, in the 50s, and then we had a major one in the 60s, and then a major one in the 70s, and then it kind of was all built out. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to you. And I think that's an important thing we've done this year, and an important thing that we're going to do for 2021. And it's a lasting legacy that will never be able to be taken away from Shore Acres, and will be one of the few communities, I would say, in Florida or even the nation, that has a documented history of where they came from. I think it's just great. Okay. Evacuation plan. This is not so fun. Hurricane Eta scared me. And here's why it scared me. This is a view from my porch. I could just walk across the street to the Gathering Church there and get out. I can park my car there, and I can swim to get to my car to get off the island. Not everybody's going to be able to do this. Here's what I see as the problem. That the state and the weather agencies, they have their own call as far as evacuation. But Shore Acres is unique. It's unique in the fact that long before that water gets up to your waist, or gets up to your chest, or gets above your head, long before that, you're going to be trapped and not be able to escape. So what we need to do is we need to look at the elevations of our streets. We need to look at what floods and how you get specifically the route that you get to 40th Avenue or 62nd Avenue, because Snail Isle probably won't be an option there from where your house is. And I think we should, as a board, not take full responsibility for people if they evacuate or don't evacuate, but tell them and monitor this, which I think we could do better than some of the state officials, because it is very specific when our high tide is, what the direction of the wind is, and also what the path of the hurricane is. And we can evaluate all that, and hopefully work with the city to come up with not an absolute plan, but something better than the one we have. I'm just waiting for somebody to say go. Because if Ada taught you anything, it's that we can flood. And this is not scientific, but from my experience, living here for 25 years, it seems like these hurricanes follow the same path for a couple years and then leave an area alone for a while. Just ask the panhandle of Florida about that. If you guys remember, they were always getting slammed and they would dodge us. Maybe it's our turn in the barrel. And when this happens, we'll be prepared. If it happens, we leave up to the fates. We can't control that, but we can control when it happens. We have some kind of plan to give people, and that will be in May. In May, we'll have our hurricane preparedness. We have I've already booked them, some people from the city to come in and help us prepare and make sure that you're all set. And if last year was any motivation, now we know indeed that we can flood and that hurricanes can hit us. Sometimes people think if we haven't been hit in 20 years, that it's some kind of magic with the universe and the weather streams that we don't get hit. But the truth is we are going to suffer eventually a major hurricane. I also want to work with the city to say, hey, look, we're unique. We have 4,400 people that are going to be trapped long before that water rises. We need to evacuate before other people evacuate. Can you open up an evacuation shelter? Can you give us someplace to go? Is there some kind of assistance that we can have with this? And then also work as a community together of trying to find each other places to go. So this is probably one of the more serious, unfun things to do, but I think it's important that we do it. And again, it doesn't have to be this comprehensive 18-page document or something like that. We just have to be aware of the factors that are going to result in a flood and be aware of the fact that getting off the island is going to be impossible long before the water rises too much to where it's a real danger. Okay, so we're going to be working on that. On a lighter note, our bylaws and board descriptions, this is something I think is important because technology has changed. Like I said, when we flooded 23 years ago or whenever that was, Josephine, we didn't have social media. We didn't have meetings online. We didn't have the things that we have now. And I think the bylaws could be updated to reflect the reality of today where we have technology. And can we vote by the technology? Are there some laws in there that are a bit old? And as Kevin pointed out, we're going to hire professionals to come in, take a look at our bylaws. It's worth the investment. And what we're trying to do is make the organization solid for the next 10 years. We don't have to go overboard on this. And this is almost a service to the board that comes after us, that we do this work now and we kind of hand it over as a nice little package that is more up for the times that we're living in now. And we're going to try to create a more descriptive board roles. I'm going to show you the board here in a few minutes, and it's not very descriptive what people do. I know the president and me as president has the ability to kind of assign tasks and assign different descriptions, but I think it should be codified. I think it should be in there, and we should examine, okay, obviously we need an online director who might be part of the communications director, maybe somebody in charge of membership, somebody in charge of advertisement or promotions and things like that. So we're going to take a look at that. And by the end of the year, come up with some new bylaws that are going to have us from our 95th year to our 105th year, more kind of solid that we have for that. And then this, public gatherings. Remember these? Where everybody could get together? Notice nobody has a mask here, and we look at that now and think, oh, these people, what are they thinking? Hopefully we'll have public gatherings. And of course, this is going to be COVID dependent. and how soon the vaccines get out there and how soon immunity is here. But we really want to have these public gatherings again. And I think there's going to be kind of built up pressure to release. And then once we have these public gatherings, I think we'll have quite a bit of turnout. Hopefully, neighborhood parties, the SACA meetings in person. And if we can do it in time, we'll have them at the Gathering Church, which has agreed to host us for that. We'll always have a good online option for you. A Christmas party, hopefully we can do that this year, the golf cart parade, and try to organize a boat parade as well. And just meeting in person, just saying, okay, let's have a barbecue at the mini park or something like that. Will be very nice to have that official SACA meetings instead of these kind of informal gatherings that we have, which are great that we have those.